My name's Lyndsey Simpson. I'm a co-owner of a business called the Curve Group. I'm hopefully going to be shedding some interesting insights onto a player within your sector that doesn't come from a recruitment background. So I don't class myself, I'm afraid, as a recruiter. I class myself as an entrepreneur. And this is the first recruitment event I've not only presented at, but the first recruitment event I've ever attended in the industry. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all, and I certainly will be staying for the rest of the sessions. When Terry contacted me, she asked us to, I suppose, share with you some insights around us as a business, because we are one of the fastest tracked businesses in the UK of any sector, not just recruitment. And we are a bit different. Our strapline is experience the difference, and we kind of live and die by that motto. So I'm just going to take you through a few things over this next session that hopefully give some insight. I'm afraid, as per the previous presenter, I don't have a clicker, so you're going to keep losing me as I'm not very tall. Go behind the lectern and change the slide. So in terms of what's coming up, I'm going to share with you some insight around who are we, who am I, what do we do in the sector. Certainly give you a view around our journey. So we are 9 years into our journey within the profession, and it's been a interesting 9 years to travel through this sector. So I'm going to show you kind of the highs, the lows, and how we've came to where we are. And then the key bit really for me, for you, is hopefully some takeaways. So I'm going to take you through the 6 pillars that we have based our growth strategy upon. Really give you some insight. I'm completely cards open kind of a person, so I will share with you all of the details around how we've built our business, the strategy we've built it upon, some of the challenges that have been from that. What I will ask though is, just for the purposes of time really, if you can kind of save your questions until the end, that would be fantastic, just so I can make sure I can get through all the content in the time that we have. So who are we? And can I just check, can you hear me okay at the back?
Yeah.
You probably can't see me, but at least you can hear me. So, okay. So in terms of what do? So we're actually an HR services company. We have 5 businesses within the group. We have 2 recruitment businesses, Curve Search and Curve Recruiting. The difference between the two, so Curve Recruiting is our contingent business that looks at the market between around 40,000 up to around 80 to 100,000. And then Curve Search is our retained search and selection business, which picks up the baton sometimes at 80, sometimes at 100,000 salary, and we run through to about 250, 300,000 base salary. In our recruitment sector, we specialise in 3 industries. So we have a financial services practice, a business process outsourcing and management consultancy practice, and leisure and business services. As you then go along the mix of businesses, we have an HR consulting business, which looks at the entire journey as they come into the business. So we write induction programs, we write talent management programs, we deliver employee opinion surveys and climate surveys, engagements, succession planning, and right the way through to when employees are then leaving a business, we have an outplacement business, an offering where we support corporates when they're making either redundancy programs, or we've got senior execs that are right person, wrong time. You then go to Curve RPO. This is an outsourced business. I'm guessing most of you know the term RPO, but it's recruitment process outsource, and we typically either look at main outsources, so 2 to 3 year contract deals with major corporates that are looking to hire a minimum of 100 people per annum. Occasionally for some of the very large corporates, we actually reduce that down and do project-based RPO. So where, for example, they need to hire 50 people in the next 6 weeks, we will go in, run a project RPO, and then pull out our people. And then the final business is our contractor arm, Curve Contractors, the newest piece to our jigsaw. We do interim, day rate, and fixed-term contractors within that part of our model. We start at around the £300 a day mark, so we're not in that temp marketplace, and we go up to about £2,000 a day. And again, we have 5 areas that we specialise in. It's quite interesting from that last presentation around values and standing. I think it's probably safe to say that we are the gold-plated version of recruitment. So myself, my business partners, my management team are anally retentive with detail and quality, and that comes through everything. And so contractor charter for us is that we would deliver the same standards that we will deliver to our executive search customers on the permanent side to a £300 a day contractor and client. And that carries right the way through. And then the final bit on this slide is just a bit of a look at us really, with some of the awards that we've won in the last 18 months, and they range from everything from being best employer, working mums, fast growth business in the UK, etc, etc. We're very proud of those. We've got a few things that we're shortlisted for that hopefully we'll be announcing in the next few weeks. And for me as a business owner, it's massively important that some of the corporate stuff for us, that we are regarded as one of the best places to work. From an attrition standpoint, over the last 9 years that we've been running, our attrition stands at 1%. And for 3 years we didn't lose anyone. I was telling someone earlier that, and that guy retrained to become a hairdresser, so there's kind of nothing I could do about that. But we don't lose anyone to a competitor, ever. So, tell you a little bit about us as a business. We're privately owned. We're owned by myself and my two co-business partners. They're lovely shiny faces up here, Jeanette and Della. None of us are from the recruitment industry. We were all buyers of recruitment services. So Jeanette, the most prevalent buyer, she was the HR director for a big outsourcer called Liberator, which sold to PwC. Della was operations director by background in the leisure industry, and her last role was ops director of Leicester City Football Club. And I'm a banker for my sins. So in fact, you've got one of my ex-colleagues coming up next actually. We just said hello to each other in the foyer. So I used to look after mergers and acquisitions, strategy and planning, product proposition, marketing, target operating models. I was with Barclays for just shy of 10 years, and in the insurance industry before that. So no recruitment, no HR, but a keen eye on value and market opportunity. But these are really the people that make it happen. So this is a selection of the Curve team. It's not all of them. When I tried to put them all on a slide, you couldn't actually see their faces. So this is just some of the people that make it happen every day for us, including Trevor and Colin, our mascots, our Curve goldfish that have pride of place in our head office. And if you're on Twitter, do follow us, because at least once a week they kind of say what's going on in and around our office, which is in rural Northamptonshire. So the journey, as I say, it started 9 years ago. It started in 2004. It wasn't started by me. It was actually founded by Jeanette and Della. Jeanette, as I said, had just sold Liberator to PwC. Della had just found herself pregnant with twins. And they decided that they'd spent millions each year on recruitment, and still between them thought that they could do it better than all of the companies that had been providing into them. So they hatched their grand master plan of, why don't we just do it? Why don't we set up a recruitment business that we're going to feel proud of, that we're going to have fun in, that we're going to actually want to buy from ourselves if we were back in our corporate lives. And that's what they decided to do. And the very first business in the jigsaw was Curvy Recruiting, which at that time was actually generally retained search and selection in that £80,000 to £100,000 space. So this will become a theme as we go through, but all of our growth is client-led. I don't believe, from my banking days, that you can be a market maker. I just don't believe it. I've seen people try, fail, lose lots of money. So for me, it's you listen really, really carefully to what your clients are telling you and asking you, and then you follow them, and you follow the trends, you follow the patterns, you follow the niches. So we were obviously placing that senior level of candidate. They were then saying, we've had a great experience, we want you to hire in our team. We were going, but we don't do junior recruitment and we don't do contingent. And so we decided a couple of years later, as the business had grown to such a scale, that we would build a new business and we would lose that middle manager level on a contingent basis. And so we then rebranded and called Curve Search the senior stuff and Curve Recruiting the more middle stuff. You then go to 2008. I'm 35. So I remember the last recession, but I wasn't working and feeling the pain through it. And up until this point, I'd only ever known successful businesses. I'd only ever known you work hard, you get rewarded. So 2008 was a real shock to the system. Within 24 hours, we'd had our three largest banking customers, Barclays, HSBC and RBS, cancel between them 45 retained briefs, cancel every contingent role that we were working on for them, and also pull every offer where the candidate hadn't physically signed and returned their contract. It was a challenge in 24 hours, it's fair to say, and one that I will never forget in all my life. And it's fair to say that it really helped us take a good hard look at our business and say, what are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do? Are we going to sink or are we going to swim? So the three of us plonked ourselves off in a hotel somewhere for a couple of days and just said, right, well, none of us have come into this to really shrink our way to greatness. So we decided we're going to invest our way out. We're going to go up with a new plan, a new strategy, and we're going to throw some money at it and actually grow ourselves out of the recession. Just as a bit of a time point, I joined the business in 2007, so I bought in to the business at that point. Curve had been my suppliers for 3 years whilst I was at Barclays, and I was very impressed with what they did and decided it would be a bit more fun to play with my own money than keep playing with the bank's money. So I'd only really been in the sector for 12 months when this happened. So what did we do? We learned some real lessons. Going into that recession, we were really quite smug. You know, it's fair to say 100% of our client base were FTSE 100 companies. You know, we'd very, very easily beaten the big boys, won all the PSL deals, partly because of our industry knowledge and contacts, and partly because we were presenting something that was very different to what they were getting. But going into that recession, big learn, 60% of our revenue came from 3 major customers, and when we did our Pareto analysis around 80-20 rule on every possible angle, we were significantly exposed to certain sectors and certain clients. So note there, change that one. We also noticed that a lot of our customers, particularly in the banking industry, were being sheep-dipped through outplacement programs through the big boys such as Penna, Wright, Coutts, etc. And all of them were having a really poor experience. So we were ending up spending our evenings and weekends coaching ex-colleagues that had been made redundant, that have been paid for professional outplacement support, and actually saying, no, you don't want to do that, just do this and do that and look at that. So we made the decision to build an outplacement business. It was a big decision for us. It wasn't complementary to our people. We didn't have the systems, the technology, the experience, and it meant a complete shift of focus. But it was very complementary to our client base and the problems that they were experiencing at right that moment. So 2008 Christmas, I remember being on the phone to our IT company that were doing the build for us in the States. I spent all of my Christmas working up a new website. We went live on the 1st of January 2009, and by the 10th of January we had our first customer that had come to us, called Pizza Hut, and then we broke even within 8 weeks of launch, and that included all of our investment spend on IT systems, website, launch, people. So major, big tick on the decision. Then takes us through to 2010. So we are characteristic of the slide you saw from the previous presentation of we bounced big time. So we had a big dip, then we had a massive bounce within around about a 10-month trading period. And we decided to play on that trend and build a fourth business, which was Curve Outplacement. Again, I'll learn from going into the recession that with recruitment you have feast and famine, feast and famine. You are responding to recruitment freezes and all of these aspects that are actually out of your control. So we decided we wanted to create another balance within our business where we had accrual income coming through that couldn't be taken away at a moment's notice, that we could plan up, plan down and scale. And so that was where outsourcing was born. And initially when we went into that market, we had 2 product lines. We had RPO and we had HR outsourcing. What do we do next? We rebranded, because by this point we have 4 websites, 4 brands, everything all over the place. So we decided to come together, rename ourselves the Curve Group and bring it all into one brand identity, one look and feel, and one customer touch point across the group. As I've mentioned, the bounce back. 12 months later, really decided we didn't like HRO. It was a nice idea at the time. There is definitely client demand out there, so if any of you are looking for a market opportunity, there's a big opportunity around HR outsourcing. but it kind of went against the grain of everything we were really good at. So we are bouncy, passionate, positive people, that we develop careers, we add value, and everybody on HRO wanted to outsource all the really shitty stuff. They wanted to get rid of their payroll, they wanted to get rid of their discipline and grievance. They wanted the nasty bastard to come in every time they were doing a redundancy programme and do the hatchet work. And it wasn't very fun. And fun is kind of quite core to what we do, so we decided that we would withdraw from that market. We transferred across clients that we had in that space, and we focused on recruitment process outsourcing and that proper talent management journey that was our core focus. Getting up to current date now. So 2012, last year, again, following our customers, we'd had quite a number of our permanent customers over the last 3 years come to us and say, we really want you to do contractor recruitment. We like what you do on the permanent side. We don't get the same standards of service and as quality as we do on our contractor business. Please set something up in that area. And we kept going, nah, it's not really us. It's the lower end of the market. It's different systems, different people. So long story short, we were convinced in the end, and we went into it at the end of 2011, beginning of 2012. And what a mistake. Why didn't we do it 5 years earlier? It's been the best decision we've ever made. It's grown like Billy-O. In fact, Cindy, who's a member of our team, if you wouldn't mind waving at the back there, Cindy. So Cindy runs Curve Contractors for us. And it has been an amazing journey, and one which is going to lift our business to new heights as we go forward. And then you go to current day, so this month in fact. So we are rebranding again, because we've now got 5 businesses, we've got a whole multitude of different things going out there. We have a new responsive website, so you're looking at it on your iPhone, your iPad, your tablet, wherever you are in the world, and it will work beautifully for you. And that actually goes live in 2 weeks on the 26th of June. So if you're nosy, feel free to keep an eye on it, but it won't be going live until the 26th. And then just a stat, you know, in terms of our current tracking, we're tracking 165% year-on-year growth, and have averaged the same as that over the last 3 years consistently. So that's enough about us, I think. Hopefully that gives you some context, a little bit about why we've got 5 businesses, why we've responded to what we've done. This next piece here really is around us sharing. So being really open with you, sharing what's the basis we've done it on, what are the pillars, and I've used the word concrete for a reason. So my observation of SME businesses when I was a banker and making decisions of whether to lend or not to corporates of lots of sizes, I saw SME businesses were sometimes built on sand. They had a great idea, they had a great model, they had great people, and then they'd be using some kind of Excel spreadsheet rather than buying a database. Or they wouldn't have a staff handbook, they wouldn't have any policies and procedures. They'd be sticking, you know, plasters to actually come together. And for us, that was never an option. We always knew we were growing a scalable business that was going to build, and keep doubling itself every year. So for us, the key was that everything we put in place is absolutely concrete. The foundations are rock solid, and I can honestly say, hand on heart, our policies are as tight as they were in Barclays, and as my co-owners were in their FTSE companies, as they are in our business today. So what are they? So the biggie for me, our culture, the Curvy Way. Cindy will tell you this, and anyone in our business will tell you this. We're a bit weird. We kind of have our own little look and feel, and people look at us and come into our offices or go on the website and they go, are you sure you're not a bit confused and you think you're a marketing agency? Because we're all a bit that way. And the way we kind of describe that is the Curvy Way. It is our essence. It's how we think and behave. It's certainly how we describe ourselves, and I'll come give you a bit more, you know, meat on the bones of that. It's what we hire our people upon. I don't hire anybody on skill and attribute, never have. I hire on attitude, passion, motivation, and then I believe all the other stuff we can teach. And what that means is that actually 80% of our team are actually, again, from non-recruitment backgrounds. They're from the industries they serve. I've got people that have owned PR companies, I've got estate agents, I've got people that I just thought, do you know what? you're curvy, I like you, I want to work with you, I can see me spending some time down the pub working things out, I can see my customers wanting to spend time with you, you're in, everything else we can teach you. As I say, it encapsulates our corporate culture. It actually empowers people. So when you give people this gift to be different, be curvy, it kind of sets their minds going around, I can go and do that. It's like, just do it, just do it. I don't care, just if it feels right, do it. And you see people grow, especially if they've come out of a very constrained, confined, this is your role and you mustn't deviate from it, and you've got to go through 15 layers of management before you can, ask to go to the toilet or leave your desk. All of that kind of rubbish. So it really helps us drive that culture. And then finally, it's the way we bring our 6 core values to life. So within Curve, these are our 6 core values. They run through absolutely everything we do. We test this every day, day in, day out, with every touch point we have. And it's a way, actually, you could describe anyone that works for us. So we're passionate, we're trusted, we're results orientated for our clients, we always add value and insight, we're business savvy, but more importantly, we're friendly to do business with. The next slide, you're going to struggle to see a little bit, especially if at the back, but I'm going to walk you through it. But it's just the way by which we came up with these things. We didn't just sit in a room with a flip chart and go, what should we call ourselves, what are our values? There was actually quite a lengthy process we went through to actually define our culture. So I'm going to share that with you. So it's called our brand essence wheel. For any of the marketeers or ex-marketeers in the room, you'll have probably seen it. It's the way most large corporates define their company style. We got all of our employees in a big room, and we put 4 massive signs in each corner of the room. In one corner, we said, what does Curve do for me? And when we were asking people to think about that, we were saying, throughout this whole exercise, you are putting your shoes in the customer. So you are now the customer of the Curve Group. What does Curve do for you? How would you describe Curve to other people, to colleagues, to suppliers, to procurement? How does Curve make me feel? And how does Curve make me look? Switch out Curve for your company name, whoever you are, whatever you do, and the principles will apply. And I'll just pull out some of the things that you won't be able to see so it makes sense. So when we asked the team, what does Curve do for me? What do customers tell them that we do for them? It was things like, they make my life easier. They increase my knowledge. They're honest and straight talking. They engage me. They re-energise me. When I think all hope is lost of finding the perfect person, they go, ta-da! That's what Curve does for me. In terms of how I would describe Curve, they've got a strong attention to detail. They're a partner. They're proactive, they're passionate, they're quirky. This is how our customers describe us. How does Curve make me feel as a customer? Well, it makes me feel respected. It makes me feel informed. It makes me feel cared for and secure that I'm making the right decisions. And in terms of how Curve makes me look, it makes me look market savvy. It makes me look intelligent. We go out of our way to make our customers look and feel brilliant and feed them the information we know that will make them shine within the environment that they work in. And we distilled all that down, and then right at the very heart of all of this, as you bring it down, is our 6 core values, which then run through everything that we do. So hopefully it's a useful way of running it. So, culture to one side, what's the second pillar? The second pillar is brand. You had some information on this, so I'm going to go through this a bit quicker because obviously we talked about this in the last presentation. For us, it's a consistent brand experience. So this is a snapshot of one of our brand boards in the office, which shows, our comp slips look the same as our email signatures, which look the same as our CV headers, which look the same as our candidate summary reports, which look the same as our website, which look the same as our PowerPoint and pitch presentations. Equally, we don't ever deviate from our brand palette of colours. You don't have some random clip art thing show up in a pitch document to a client that looks like it's been done by a 10-year-old. You don't ever write the Curve Group unless it's capital T, capital C, capital G, unless it's in the logo. And I know I sound controlling and a bit nuts when I say this, but I firmly believe that you've got to have that level of consistency to really compete with the big boys. Because if you're putting out yourself there to compete in FTSE 250 space, then you've got to be thinking and acting as they do. And simply, the title across here is really key. So ensuring that your words and images are aligned. You could have the best brand strategy in the world. Your documents and materials could look brilliant. But unless your people are answering the phone in that way, unless when they're asked the question down the pub by someone's mum who happens to be a global HR director, so what does your company do? They can describe the 5 businesses or whatever you do, well then it all comes crashing down. So for us, we have a description how we describe ourselves, that what we call curve on a page, which summarises our 5 businesses. Every member of our team practices their elevator pitch, not for sales, but just so they can describe our business and all the things that we do whenever they're asked, whenever they pick up the phone. Number 3, customer is king. This for me is the biggest reason I decided to invest in the recruitment industry. I had bought recruitment for 13 years at very senior levels, spent millions of pounds on recruitment, and I'd had, quite frankly, a fucking awful experience. From every company, I'd had a change in account director, people that didn't understand the requirements they were trying to fill, and then Curve came across like this shining knight in armour to me, and for 3 years did it brilliantly. And this is the basis that we work on. Candidates and clients are the same thing, okay? So anyone that thinks that you can do everything for your clients and return their calls and be at their beck and call and buy them for a drink, but thinks that they don't do the same for their candidates, is at best short-sighted, at worst just an idiot, and quite frankly should be running a business, because they are one and the same. They may not be here and today, but in 5 years, 10 years, anyone is growing through an organisation will at some point be in a position to be your client. Equally, they are the mouthpiece of your organisation to the market. So it never ceases to amaze me that I would have companies come and pitch for my retained search work when I was in Barclays, that in the same breath, their headhunters would be calling me for their search assignments to see if I was interested. We'll ring you back at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Okay. 3 o'clock tomorrow comes and goes, and you never hear from them again. Like, well, why would I then put my business with you? Because if this is how you deal with your candidates, this isn't the way I would want to do business. Understand their world and their priorities. So I'm a big believer that the team need to understand the people. So if they hear that a customer's moving house, they send them a congratulations card. If they hear that someone they're talking to, prospective candidate is pregnant, they'll find out their address and they'll send them some flowers. They just do it. They don't ask permission, they just do it because it's the right thing to do, and these things come back to, to really value. Classic example, if you say you're going to do it, do it. You know, if the biggest sin in my business is anyone that promises something, I will ring you at 5 o'clock, or I will keep you updated on the progress of this assignment, and then don't do it. It's just, if you say you didn't do it, if you say you're going to ring them at 3 o'clock, you ring them at 3 o'clock on the dot, not a minute later, not next week, not ever, at 3 o'clock, and you live and die by that. And it means that we don't have any business developers within our business, because all of our business comes from recommendation and referral. Resourcing and HR are also your customers. So another thing I could never quite work out is the recruitment companies that would try and, HR and resourcing say, please don't speak to the line managers until you've spoken to us. They'll go, yeah, ignore it, go speak to the line manager and piss off everybody in resourcing. And they'll force through an invoice because the line wants to hire someone that perhaps, and they're not on the PSL or whatever. I just don't get it. These are the people that are writing your invoice checks. So find a way of keeping both sets happy. So don't lose your client contact, but keep HR informed. Ask their permission. tell them when someone from the line has rung you and said they've rung me to work on this, are you happy that I do that, or would you rather I didn't? And if they say no, go back to the line and say, I'm really sorry they've said no, can you speak to so-and-so and open it up for me? It's very easy, it's not rocket science, Notice the little things, as I mentioned, is around those clue points with customers like birthdays, Christmas, pregnancy, moving house. And finally, keep the relationship points the same. Okay, so it's very key to us. If you're building a relationship with your client, you don't then keep revolving that relationship around and putting in a new account director and a new account manager. So wherever possible, really tie those people down to those relationships and get them to work seamlessly. I'm going to speed up a little bit now through the next couple of pillars, just so that we don't run on. So the fourth one here is around flexing the business model. Quite simply, if you stand still, you're just going to fail. It's as simple as that. So the key things to remember here are: do your Pareto analysis. Know who your 20% of companies are that are generating 80% of your revenue. Know which industries are making up 80% of your revenue. Know which people are driving your business forward and which ones aren't. And do that across every possible angle and make sure you keep refining, honing to those areas. Don't be afraid of pulling out of unprofitable clients and sectors. So I used HRO as an example earlier, where we've withdrawn from the market. We served notice on our relationship with RBS at Easter this year. We're the first ever recruitment company to serve notice on RBS, but I wasn't enjoying working with them anymore. They'd gone to a procurement-led model, the HR team weren't engaged, they were doing a lot of direct hiring themselves and not openly sharing the plans. So we said, you know what, we don't want to work this way, you don't want to partner, so we're not going to partner with you, and we withdraw. And that for us is really key, where we stand firm on our belief system. Change your pricing model. So we have a different pricing model for every customer that we work with. We know what their hooks are, we know the people that like a bit of edge in there and the success bonus, we know the people that like it to be even, we know the people that we can charge a bit more for and the people we charge a bit less for. And just play around with that so you can maximise your profitability. And if you're a business owner or someone responsible for strategy, these are the three things that I live and die by: silence, solitude, solutions. So in this industry, you're constantly going nuts and driving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Take yourself off, stick yourself somewhere silent, turn off your phone, turn off your laptop, and you will come out with some of those solutions. Oops, sorry. There. So daring to be different. We're not a homogenous business. These are just a selection of some of the things that make the Curve Group different. You'll have your own things that make you different. For example, we pay no commission. We don't have a commission model in our business. We have no specified hours for our headhunters. If they want to make their calls out at 9 and 10 o'clock at night, suits me, because they're senior execs and that's when they want to talk. We have no targets. Not a single member of our business has any targets, be that financial, be that number of calls, be that visits. Their only success measure is client satisfaction. That's all we measure, that's all we drive, and everything else then falls into place for us. And a key rule for us is, our mantra is seek forgiveness, not permission. And then the very final one for me is funding. I'm not going to tell you about all the sources of funding because you'll be very aware of those. For us in particular, it's the bank. We didn't want to give up any equity. We know we're a good bet. I'm a banker by background. I can construct the best possible pitch to a bank you could ever imagine. But the key here is know your cash. So in a business like ours, we run a daily cash flow, a weekly cash flow, a monthly cash flow, and a 3-month cash flow. There is not a moment in any day and any time I don't know if an account is going to go into overdraft in 36 days' time, and the level and the amount of funding that I require there. When running projections, so we always run a 3-year plan ahead around projections, but we only focus on the 4 things that we know that we can kind of properly forecast forward. So that's headcount, desk and infrastructure, so the support costs around that, IT spend, especially if they're remote workers and you need more servers, and any major outflows, so where your big VAT points are, where your big corporation tax points are. Don't ever ask for money from a bank when you need it, because you'll never get it. So always know a good 3 to 6 months in advance when you're going to need it. Bring them in on the journey, take them through your business, get them excited about it, and then amazingly you'll see that the funds do come through. But if you ask them when you need it, they're scared, they can't move that quickly, and it just will end up in a reject. And then finally, as I say, really plan ahead. You know, bring anyone that's supporting and funding your business on that journey with them. We have our bank in to meet us, so we bank with Lloyds, sorry. We bank with Lloyds because they're our only non-customer within the banking sector, so it was our way of not showing a preference to a customer. But we have a mixed package of funding from them, but we bring them into our office every single month to meet the new starters, to understand where the business is going, to tell them about new client wins, and to forecast the next 3 to 6 months with them. You'll be pleased to know that is the end. I hope you found it useful. I don't think we've got time for questions here and now, but I'm going to be around at the coffee break and again as we break at the end of the day, so please do come and grab me. And if you wanted to follow us, there's our details. I'm going to move you on to the next presentation.